and it leads quite nicely into the demo at the end, actually. So, what are some of the most common red flags to look out for when carrying out AML checks on a company?
Okay, so when you are, and I go back to this initial taking on a client, so you are unlikely to be able to recognize any red flags with the client unless you understand your client. So I think historically there's been a lot about know your client. That's absolutely fine. You do need to know your client, but you need to also understand them. What are they about? What are they trying to achieve? What do they do? So you need to understand your client so that you know what is normal. So again, you need to know who they are, what they are, why they do what they do, where they are doing it, when they do it, and how they do it. So that's the 5WH kind of system. When you are taking them on, do a kind of Google search, do a company's house search, do online searches, find out as much information as you can about them, make sure that tallies to what they are telling you, because they're not necessarily going to be truthful. If they're criminals, normally they would be truthful, but you want to be able to make sure that what you are being told by them is what is actually in the public domain and what makes sense. As you work with them, you are going to go do ongoing monitoring of them, and this will come as second nature. It shouldn't be something that you necessarily need to be conscious of doing, but as you work with them, you get paperwork in, you're looking through the transactions, you need to think about whether those transactions make sense. Are they relevant to the size of the company? Do they make sense within the sector? Are they what you normally expect from your client, or has a huge amount of money just suddenly come in that you can't explain? So that would be kind of your transactional things that you're looking out for. Your geography risks, are they suddenly sending money to a country that makes no logical sense? Are they getting money in from a country that doesn't make sense? If you look at the actual client themselves, does the corporate structure make sense? Is it complicated or unusually large? Who's actually benefiting from the company itself? Do the directors and the persons with significant control, again, does that make sense? Are you meeting them? Are they being open and honest with you as far as you can tell? Are they operating in sanctioned countries, or are they sanctioned individuals? Are they politically exposed persons? Does it all make sense? And this is why it's so necessary to understand what is normal, to make sure that everything else is making sense to you. So other things, I mean, it goes on. And again, if you look at Appendix D of the CCAB guidance, it's got high risk factors there. So the way they interact with you, does that make sense? Or is it done under unusual circumstances? Are they expecting you to turn around work in an unusually fast fashion, which might prompt you to not actually look at things in great detail as you should do? Is it cash intensive when it potentially shouldn't be? If it is cash intensive, and it should be, if you've got I don't know, a hairdresser, they're generally cash intensive, nail bar, tanning salon, is the cash that's coming through the business, does it make sense? The lifestyle of your client, are they putting through a profit of 10 grand but driving a Ferrari around? Those kind of things. So anything that just doesn't make sense. Now, that could be a red flag. A red flag doesn't necessarily mean that there's nefarious activities going on. It just means that you need to take a bit of an extra look at it, ask them some questions. So there is nothing wrong with asking your client about transactions, about their business, as long as that falls within the normal business relationship. Where you come into problems, and I'm sure most people have heard of tipping off, is where you are suspicious of something and you ask direct questions implying your suspicions to your client. So yes, if your client suddenly gets a big amount of money in, it would be normal to ask where that money has come from. Do you have paperwork for that? Um, most of the red flags can be explained through normal business transactional conversation, um, and so that's absolutely fine. It's where they cannot be explained, where your client is being trying to cover things up or not being open and honest with you, that's where you need to worry about it. So yeah, a red flag doesn't necessarily mean a problem. It just means that you need to take a bit more care and pay more attention to what's going on.
Perfect. Thank you, Lucy.